Everyone is Path. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I am not very familiar with and I do not have a ton of experience, but I just want to share what I have learned and also what I have done to try to get the most out of this. On the screen you will see that I'm actually testing out tag grading. I'm also going to share with you why I want to try tag as compared to the usual ones that usually most people will just go with PSA. But I really wanted to try tag, but for a few reasons. First of all, tag, if you look at the turnaround time, this is with neutral. According to them, they are the only official authorized dealer in the region. Turnaround time is about 30 business days, and because of the tariff situation recently, most of the shops that are not officially partner of PSA, they are not allowed to send to PSA in the US anymore. So many of these smaller companies, if they are not the authorized dealer with PSA, they are not allowed to send to the USA anymore. So we have to look for other opportunities. So tag has 30 days turnaround, which is really nice, and the price is honestly quite affordable. This is in Singapore dollar, so $30 Singapore dollar if you have 20 cards at a minimum, $33 if you require pre-grading, which is what we are also going to talk about today, a little bit of pre-grading. But I also want to share with you what about PSA and the reason why I do not want to try PSA at this current moment. So when we talk about PSA dealers in Singapore, there are only two. One of them is Oxley, the other one is Concept Grading. I'm going to just quickly go through them right now. So as I understood, when it comes to PSA dealership, officially it is only to US. And there are still many people who send to Japan, but as I understood it from some of the shops, people who send to Japan, so actually they are not sending directly to the Japan, so they still have to go through something like a forwarding contact in Japan, and then they will send to PSA, and then PSA will return to the forwarding company or the address in Japan, and then they send it back to Singapore. So even though the price is a little bit lower when you send to Japan, but the turnaround time is quite similar, at least officially, what they tell us. But the danger is that if something happened in between the forwarding company and PSA, and from the forwarding company to Singapore, then I do not know what the situation will be. I have not heard any problem with Oxley grading. At least they have not lost their cards before, or at least I have not heard anyone saying they lose their cards when they send to Japan. But I was just thinking, if something like that happened, how will this be resolved, right? But of course, they are also talking about insurance, insured by professional collectible insurance up to $250. But if you are very high value cards, is can be something that you want to consider. So if you want them to send to the US, it's just a couple of dollars more expensive. For the TCG bulk, maximum declared value of up to $200. This is USD, and so it depends on at the point of grading what price or what value that card is. If, for example, if it is more expensive, let's say if after grading it turns out to be the value become higher than $1,000, that slab, then they are going to upcharge you from $37 to $125, for example. So they will charge you an additional $80 if it turns out to be a very good grade. So that is the situation with PSA. There's something called upcharging, but with tag or even BGS, there's no such thing, no upcharge. So that's the main difference. And I think for concept grading, it's quite similar. You can submit to Japan or the US, but the price is slightly different. They also tell you, the turnaround time, so about 65 business day. So if you send right now, they will, cut off tomorrow based on the, date of recording. It was 25. So 26 is the cutoff. They will send it out in a few days time, and they will come back in about 4 months, 3.5 months time. So that's roughly the turnaround time. So why I wanted to go with tag, mostly because of the turnaround time, and the price is not too expensive. I wanted to try at least with some of the cards that probably not going to thinking about selling them very quickly, and there's no upcharge. I like that. And I also wanted to try, I know they send reports and things like that, and I want to see how it looks like. And the tag slabs actually look pretty nice. I'm not sure if you have seen them before. So this is from the tag website. Actually, it looks very clean, very modern look. There are of course people who talk about, you know, how durable the slab is. There was some problem with them, but I have not tried it before, so I really cannot comment. The previous times I've tried with Beckett's, it has not come back yet. I have about 30 cuts with them, and I also graded with PSA once. So when I have everything back, then maybe I can do a better comparison. Right, so let's talk about tag for today. If you go to the tag website and go under grading and grading rubrics, you will find something pretty interesting. They actually spelled out pretty clearly. The highest grade is tag pristine. I'm not sure actually they actually show tag pristine on the slab, or maybe they just show, you know, Jamin 10. Do they say 10p? I do not know. Oh, it doesn't say 10p, just 10, right? So, but pristine. So this is the highest grade that you can get. In terms of centering, it has to be 5149, which is very, very difficult. And the back, even the back has to be 5248, so it's going to be very, very difficult. Not many will get this grade in terms of centering. So normally, doesn't matter which company you go to, centering is the first thing they look at. So if it doesn't meet this at all, they don't even need to look at the corners and the surface and edges. Automatically, the grade will drop. And of course, the four main things that most companies look at are after centering, they will look at the corners, whether there's any visible wear, fraying, and under high resolution imagery. This is more specific to tag, because the other company, they don't really show you their scans and things like that. But for tag, as I understood, they will show you the scan, and they will also show you where's the problem, whether it's sharp or not sharp, and why is it that the score is at a certain score. It's a little bit more transparent. And the surface, it needs to be flawless, of course, and exhibit only non-human observable defect, not observable to normal eyes. Edges, the sides, flawless edge, and under high resolution, where you zoom, you will have minor fill or fray artifacts. So of course, if you just go down the grade, this is 10, and this is 9, and then 8.5. For 9 is 60/40, and 75/25. This is actually quite huge. And for the corners, for a 10, you need to have sharp corner. You can have minor surface wear, and maybe light and visible corner touch, maybe 1 or 2 nick, and that's all. Especially at the back. At the front, it should be totally sharp and nice. Surface, similarly, you can have a little bit of print imperfection, but it should not affect how the light is reflected from them. So it's basically what it says. The back, you can have some print lines and things like that. That's not too bad. And the edges should be quite clear, except maybe minor edge surface wear under high resolution, right? So if you go to this is grade 9, similar, but you can have a little bit more issues here, maybe some whitening on the edges. Corners, same thing, you can have some 1 or 2 whitening. They don't really specify too much, but at the back you can have a little bit more of whitening, and you can still get a 9. Let's go to 8. This is grade 8. Grade 8, now you can have 65/35 centering, and the back basically it doesn't matter, right? That's what it means. 95/5 basically doesn't matter, but I should not have any miscut portion of another cut. This is basically error print, isn't it? And corners can have wear. So this is like light plate. You can still probably get a very, very light plate. You can still probably get an 8. So that's what it means. And other corner should appear square, but display light corner touches, some nick in the front. The back can have a little bit more wear, a little bit more whitening, or even can really show light plate on the back. Some minor area of fill, that means total whitening, the whole piece of thing is gone and start to show under high resolution when you zoom in. And surface, quite similar. You can have combination depending on their size of all these things, scratches and things like that. Minor but large area of print imperfections are present. A minor roller line, so print line, may be visible on the front or back. So this is quite serious, because roller line is usually quite thick and deep. So that's the difference between like a print line and a roller line. As for edges, when it
has chipping, so this basically very serious ones and present on all 4 edges. This one will automatically go to an 8. Artifact on the edges become more visible, and minor area of fill start to show under high resolution, and they have more tolerance given to the back of the card. So as usual, the back they are not so strict as compared to the front. Minor lifting, even yeah, even when the lifting means a bit of bend, still can get an 8. I'm not too sure about this because actually the one of the other reason why I wanted to try tag is also because I have seen more and more people posting on, especially on Reddit, sometimes on Facebook, they were saying, how can this card be, you know, 6 from PSA, or how can this be 10 even though the corner is so bad. So this is also something I wanted to try with tag, supposed to be a little bit more transparent. But I also did something that many people may not do, and that is actually to scan the card. I'm going to just quickly show you what it looks like. So I got a scanner. This is just an Epson scanner, Epson Perfection V392. It's not a very expensive scanner. It's basically like 120 Singapore dollar. You can get it 110. And what I did was I just take it out of the sleeve, just make sure the bed is clean. This is a totally new scanner, so I just make sure it's clean. I don't touch them with an oily finger. And then what I did is I put another piece of black art paper, just cut it small pieces slightly larger than the card, and place it on top. Be very careful not to move the card too much, because later I will show you what will happen if the card moves. And then just close it slowly. Sometimes I also put my hand on here while we're scanning, so that it's totally flattened, because if it's not flat, then the reflection may be a little bit different. Before I actually scan the cards, I scan both the front and back. Later I will show you the result. But before I scan the card, what I did is I also just take it out, and if you can see from the top right corner, there's actually some lights here. I got a small light, and because with the light, especially when you shine it from the side, you can see a lot better if there's any dust, if there's any specks of dirt. Especially with cards like this, I'm actually doing this for the more vintage cards. Most of these cards is probably like 20 years old, something like that, more than 20 years old, a lot of them. So it's quite common that they have small specks of dirt if it is it's not kept properly. So I think probably if you have old cards, you know what I mean. So when we take it out, the first few things I check is that the sides, right, the borders, whether there's any dirt. Usually I try not to touch the hollow because it gets scratched very easily, but sometimes when I see, you know, things like this, I would consider are these, you know, dirt, or maybe some fiber got caught on the hollows. So what I would do is I would just take a piece of microfiber cloth, and just, if I see there's something on the hollow, I may just very lightly brush it off and see whether it comes off. If it doesn't, I'll just, you know, leave it. Maybe it's just scratches. Then the other thing I was doing is I would just bring all the sides towards the light, and I will try to see whether there's any dust or any dirt that I can try to remove. So on the back especially, you can it's very commonly they will have some dirt caught on them, so you can use a little bit more force, especially with a microfiber cloth. It's pretty safe. You don't really scratch the card very easily. Just be careful not to use your nails. Some people like to use their nails, especially when it is a piece of dirt that is quite stubborn. You can try that, but be very, very careful. Don't scratch the card. So after that, I would you know, put it under the scanner, and then I'm just right now going to show you how the result looks like. So on that particular card, this is the front of the card. So after you scan it, because I scan it at, I think, 1200 dpi, you can scan it at slightly lower resolution or higher, but I find this to be quite a sweet spot for me, because I can zoom in and really look at the surface. When tech talks about, you know, high resolution imagery, I'm not sure how much they are zooming in, but if we are zooming into this resolution or even more, then you can start seeing imperfection that you don't really see on the video. If you just go back to the video I showed you earlier, I'm sure you cannot see these spots at all. So I'm not sure how important these are. But to the naked eye, I'm pretty sure I cannot see it at all on the card. So the card looks actually pretty clean, but you can definitely see silvering on the edge, especially when it comes to vintage card. I think this is pretty common, and if you have cards that are more than 25 years old, I think you will know what I mean. So this card probably will not get 10, most definitely not, even just from the front. Centering, there are many other ways you can do it, but this to the naked eye looks slightly heavier on the right, but definitely within 55-45 top and bottom. The top looks a little bit heavier as well, but I would say it's within 55-45. There are other ruler you can use to measure that, but in this case I'm just more interested in looking at the surface. So this is the back of the card after I was wiping and try to wipe off everything, and then I will still look at this again. So you can see here on the corner there's some whitening on the bottom right corner, on the bottom left corner, and on the right top right corner, a little bit on the top. So these are the things that you can only see it if you really zoom in, like what I'm doing. See, even a little fiber on the paper, and a black spot over here, I didn't see it before, and a piece of, I'm not sure what is this, maybe dirt. So after, normally what I do is after I scan, I will still look at the photo again, look at the scan, and I'll try to use my microfiber cloth, and then I'll try to work on this area and see if there's anything over there. If it does, actually most of this thing can come off. Most of these are dust or maybe a little bit of dirt. So here I am actually showing you one of the worst card that I have, that I'm not actually, honestly I'm not sure whether I am sending them for grading, some of this card, but I'm just also going to show you this. This one is quite interesting. This is Neo Destiny first edition, Darkhound Doom. Again, if we zoom in, you can see Nick on the edge here. The corner looks pretty alright, but again, silvering on the side. Again, the edges, you can see a bit of silvering. Corner looks pretty sharp, but silvering all over the place. So honestly, this card, I'm not sure if you'll get even an 8. If we go by the rubrics earlier, maybe a 7 or maybe even a 6. I do not know. But I've seen worse, 6.5 card or 7 cards. So some, especially when it comes to PSA. So when it comes to tag, I'm not very sure about this. The other thing is the scratches with scans like this. It will become very obvious. Scratches, you can definitely tell exactly where the scratches are. These are not very deep scratches, maybe except this one looks pretty deep, but it didn't really like cut through the hollow or things like that. And I also want to show you the back, quite a bit of whitening all around the corner, the edges. So this again is one of the not so good sample that I have, but I wanted to just bring it up and show you. When it comes to 7 for tag, it says ban, no hit, so not too bad. So actually maybe it can get at least a 7 from tag. Surface, minor dent, there's no dent, yeah, probably not a 7. When it comes to corner and surface centering, not a problem for the Darkhound Doom. Edges, minor notch, I do not know whether it's considered notch. Lifting, there's no lifting. Surface wear, chipping, completely visible. So what do you think? According to the 7 and the 8 rubrics from tag, do you think this one will get a 7 or 8? I'm not too sure. The other thing, what I would do is when considering whether to send a card or not, of course, is whether it's worth sending at all. Because to send this card, you need to pay at least like $30-40. At the moment, the price is if it's grade 7, is the last sold was surprisingly very much higher than what it was. Of course, this was the other values was long time ago. Why is it that they don't sell so much? Mostly because of just look at the population report. These are cards that are more than 20 years old. It's almost 25 years old now. Grade 7, there's only 57 of them. Grade 8, grade 9 has the most. Close to about 400 pieces. Grade 10, only 85. So whether to send this card or not, honestly, is really much dependent on the collector itself. For me, I will most likely send it because even if it comes back on 6, I really don't care. I'll just keep it, right? This is first edition. What are we talking about, right? 25 years old card. So I'm just gonna keep it. If I'm lucky, it comes back at 8. I'm very happy. Why is it the 8 is lower price than the 7? Grade 8 last sold 2024, almost 1 year ago. So grade 7, I think it was sometime this year. Am I right? Yeah, sometime this year, just last month. So if another grade 8 come to the market, is it going to be $200 or is it going to be higher than the grade 7? Definitely higher than the grade 7. So if it comes back at 8, probably it's going to be worth $400, something like that, Singapore dollar. So yeah, so when we trying to make a decision whether to send this card or not, it's not just about, of course, if it is very high chance to be a 9 or 10, we don't really even have to consider that. If this card, for example, if you kept it for 25 years and right now there's a chance to get an 8, I think it is still a good thing to send it, even if not just for the value, even if it's just thinking for protection and just keep it in a slab, I think it's worth sending. Spending $30 on something that's so precious. Okay, now let's look at some other example. Okay, this one, I have quite a few of this. Galarian Moltres, this one is from the Crown Zenith Teen. If you are not familiar, do I even care about this? This is actually because this is a Shinji Kanda art, and recently, if I'm not wrong, this PSA 10 card has been going quite high. Of course, right now everything is slowing down, but it doesn't matter. This Shinji Kanda, I think in the long term, is still going to hold. I have quite a few copies of this. I bought quite a bit of the tin right before they go out of print. So I think sort of shortlisted 2 cards that I was thinking of sending based on the centering. The other centering is pretty bad. These 2 that I selected are quite alright, but the scan is quite bad. Like I said just now, it's good to place the card slightly away from the edges so you have a little bit of buffer. Otherwise, it's going to turn out like that, and that's bad. But I have decided not to send this because when I was looking closer, I realized there's a little bit of, I do not know what is this discolorization. I'm not sure where it come from, but with this, honestly, I'm not sure it will get a 10. And if it doesn't get a 10 with this card, discount promo card, I honestly do not think it's worth sending at all. To get a 9, if you get a 9, probably it's like a raw price, so really no point. So I decided to send this copy instead. This copy has a much higher chance of getting a 10, I believe. And if we look at the back of the same card, pretty clean. Sometimes you see quite a bit of whitening over here. A lot of it is because of reflection when it is bent a little bit upwards, or depending on how the placement of the card is, it can be because of that. But of course, if you zoom in close enough, you will see the edges from the cutting. Yeah, you can see that as well. So these are some other things that you can look out for. And do I have? Oh, I have another copy that this one is really something that I am considering not to send, even though it is very, very precious. This is from the Legendary Collection, the Holo card. First of all, it has quite a bad scratch over here. I think it's a scratch, most likely. Otherwise, it will not look like this. Even though it's not a dent, it's not broken or anything like that. The corner look not too bad, But on the holo itself, the scratches is also quite prominent. You can see here, side, the bottom. So this is something that I'm not sure I'm gonna send, because even though it's Articuno, but in terms of the price of this card, again, when we talk about value, it's something to consider if you are thinking about selling them. If you don't care about it, you may want to just send it for protection, because I'm not sure I'm gonna come across a better copy of this in any time soon. Zapdos is here. Do I have the Moltres? I think I probably have the Moltres as well. So this is the holo. Looks a lot cleaner than the Articuno. Yeah, so this one probably will have a chance to get a 9 if I'm being generous to myself. This is another quite a big card, Dark Dragonite from Legendary as well. Again, you have a long slight scratch on the holo, but other than that, the card itself is pretty clean. You have a little bit of whitening here, silvering rather than whitening on the edges. But the corner is pretty clean. It's definitely not played. On the corner, you see whitening, one spot. Here, I'm not sure whether this count. Maybe. Yeah, 1, 2. So probably a 9 or 8. Yep. So I have some other cards that I did scan. This one is interesting as well, the Gengar. Surface looks pretty clean. Centering, definitely left heavy. So I'm not sure this is going to be 55-45, maybe close. Maybe very, very close to 55-45. But definitely not pristine. Let's take a look at the back. The back, we have a little bit of whitening here. A little bit of whitening here. So this one, if I have to guess, I think the highest you can get is probably a 9. Just because of the whitening at the back. Surface wise is pretty clean. I don't see any major scratch. Maybe a bit of dust here. I should clean it up a bit before I send it in. Yeah, so I think this is interesting because not just because I get to look at them very, very close. Look at this white silvering is crazy. Yeah, so if you don't have good lighting, if you not have a scanner like this to zoom, you can't really see all this thing. On naked eye, most of these cards actually look pretty nice. Otherwise, I would not have shortlisted them to send in at all. But when you really zoom in and look at them, that's how you can make a better decision, especially if you're sending to tag, because the AI is doing the exact same thing. They are going to take scans and high resolution scan, and then they are going to make the decision based on that. So if you scan in, after you scan it, and then you can see all these black spots, and the tag definitely will see the same thing. So you have to make the decision on whether this is going to affect the grades. Are they going to see silvering, whitening on the corner? Is this sharp enough for them? So, and the other thing is also, before I send, if I scan all this thing, then at least I have a reference and I would know whether they damaged my card or my card got damaged along the way sending to them. But cards like this, I would just send anyway because I put it myself with my kids actually. So even if I can see that the centering is not perfect, the back may not be the nicest back in the whole world. I'm not sure what it is. This is like a lifting. Is this what they call lifting? This is definitely from cutting because we have not played this card before. I do not know where this come from. So this card might as well come back as a 7 or 6 even. I'm not sure. But we are just going to send it anyway because this is what we pulled ourselves. There's no way I'm going to sell this. And this one is from the first ever 151 product we opened, the UPC, the actual one. So, and I look at the surface, it's not too bad. Centering is a little bit off, especially the bottom is quite a little bit heavy. Sunset Mew, it's not too bad. The back is pretty nice. So, but you can see it's a little bit left heavy from the back, but the back is not so bad. So again, these are more for sentimental value. Definitely I'll send it, even if the grade may not be perfect, but I don't really mind them. The other thing is, if you have scans like this, and if you are trying to sell the card, let's say if you have decided, maybe this one is not very nice, I don't think it's going to get a good grade, and I want to sell them. I think the buyer will also appreciate, or a potential buyer may also appreciate if you send scans like this, so they can really take a look. Because sometimes when we send in cards, you post it, you say want to sell, and then they will say, oh, can I have a close-up of the cards and things like that. But if you send something like this, it's really honestly as good as it gets. But yeah, I'm gonna send this off, some of this, not all. I will still have to make a decision based on looking at the scans. I'm gonna send some of them out to tech grading, and when it comes back, of course I'll share the result with you, and if the BGS stuff come back, I'll share it with you as well, and then I can compare with what. Maybe I'll just make a guess. I think that will be fun, right? Make a list and just put down, some of these cards, what I think the grade is gonna be. And then when they come back, and then I just see, how accurate my guess is, my estimate is. Yeah, I think you can do the same from this video. Let me know in the comment which one you think may have a high chance of a 10, which one I should not send at all, or you notice a dent or a bend that I didn't see at all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.